All right. Let's see. Okay. LinkedIn didn't like our approval, but that's okay. We're live and up on everything else. Welcome, everybody. So this month, just like months in the past, we're going to be doing a live Q&A with Jeff Olson on the HUD Homes purchasing process. And he is an agent here at RE/MAX Preferred in South Central Wisconsin. And we're just going to start things off right away here. We're just going to get moving. But Jeff, we kind of start off with a similar question each time. And but what is a HUD property?
So HUD property is basically an FHA mortgage that was not performed on, basically. So they failed to make payments. It was foreclosed on, and now it's become HUD owned at this point, is being resold. So,
Okay.
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward. So
yeah.
It's an unfortunate thing that usually happens, that these get initiated, but this is the federal government, an FHA loan that get repaid and eventually went through the process of being foreclosed on and basically taken back by HUD.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So I guess what the next question I have for you is, can I, buy a HUD property the first day it's listed to beat out other buyers? What's that process kind of like? Whether I'm a person off the street, do I have to be an agent? Can you go into a little bit of that?
Yeah. So basically, when the property's listed, they're going to put it on HUD Home Store, and they're going to have a 10-day period at the beginning. So if you get in there the first day, you can certainly go look at it. You can place your bid the first day, but your bid is not going to be reviewed until the 11th day. So you'd have to go in. If your bid was placed, let's say on the 6th day, you would go in on the well, actually, in fact, you get sent a notice. If you're the winning bidder, you get sent a notice that says, hey, congratulations, notification of bid acceptance. Here are the next steps. But you do have to wait that 10 days, and on the 11th day, you find out. So for instance, if a realtor was really busy or a buyer and said, oh man, new one's on the market, I can't get out there until 4 or 5 days from now, well, that's totally fine. I always tell agents, just go ahead and wait it out. You got until, you got 10 days.
Sure.
So you don't need to rush out. You're not going to beat anybody out. It doesn't matter what order your offer goes in on. It matters who has the highest net. So,
okay.
So pretty simple.
Well, in that, I guess that arena of things, making an offer, doing that kind of stuff, does the bid have to be full price? Is it something that is negotiable when you're going after a HUD house? What's the deal there?
Yeah, it's negotiable. You can go in and place the bid wherever you like. You can put it in for half the price. You're not going to get it, obviously, but
Maybe
with your
market, right?
Yeah, exactly. So with your let's say the property's listed at 100,000, and you go in during that initial 10 days, they're probably not going to move a whole lot off that price, and don't need to in this market. So if your bid is too low, then it's just not going to get accepted. They don't necessarily have to accept the highest bid.
Sure.
It's the highest acceptable bid. So if the bid's not high enough, they're just going to roll into the next bid period.
Got it.
So which is single days.
So that might that might trigger dropping a price. That being said, then too, it goes right into this question. But who determines a list price, and maybe how does the list price how does that start anyway?
Yeah, so they have what happens is HUD has an FHA appraiser go out, and they go out prior to listing. They do an FHA appraisal, and then once that's back, that determines the price, and that's it. So there's not another BPO. We do a broker price opinion, but that's just more for comparison. And then also they take that into account with the first price reduction.
Okay.
So doesn't matter if I come in at 120 and the appraiser comes in at 150, it's going to be listed at 150. So, so sometimes we're very happy when we see the list price. Other times we, think, oh man, that's, maybe too high, maybe too low. But usually they're, pretty accurate. So we're pretty close. They are coming up with the value out, from scratch. So it's not as if they have an offer to purchase like a lot of times appraisers have, where they know what it's selling for. You know, they're coming up with their value from out of the blue, basically. So, yeah. So,
well, I've got the just so that everybody that's watching this broadcast out there, I put on the website, obviously, on where you look these homes up. You know, depending on what state you're in, there's the HUD approved brokers, such as Jeff, but you can certainly contact him down below, and maybe he can help you even find a person in your state if you're watching this somewhere else other than being in Wisconsin. But let me let me also ask then, you know, kind of a little bit back to the bidding, and then I'll get off of the price questions and that kind of stuff. But can people bid over list price for these, you know, to obviously put even a better foot forward? I'm assuming the answer is yes, but
yeah, you can bid as high as you like. I've had them sell. Oh boy, I had one for 90,000 over list one time years ago. You can definitely do that. Now you do need to be careful depending on the financing, because if it's FHA and it's, you know, then, you know, you're going to have to come up with that money. Let's say you bid $10,000 over list, you're going to have to come up with $10,000 then. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But if you're coming in as a cash buyer, as a, you know, conventional financing, as long as it appraises out, you're going to be okay. So yeah, you certainly can bid, and a lot of times that's what happens. And you're doing it blindly too, so it's not as if you can see like auctions where you can see the price going up. You're just putting in your best. You're putting your best foot forward, and you're hoping for the best. You know, because that's all you can do. You just don't know. You know, you could bid 20 grand over list and beat out somebody by $100, or you could beat them out by 20 grand. Yeah,
you got it.
you know, so.
Well, I think that kind of leads me into another quick question for you, because you know, you mentioned a cash buyer, which, you know, kind of in my mind, I know not all cash buyers are investors, but certainly, you know, there's that investor side of excuse me, investor side of things. Can you flip a HUD property, and more importantly, you know, somebody, you know, can an investor buy one of these properties as well?
Yeah, you can flip a property, but you can't do it if you're an owner occupant in that first it's first 15 days basically. So it's it's not the initial bid period, but it's the investor period, or I'm sorry, the owner occupant period. Then the investor period starts at 15 days. So at that point you can do it and you can flip the property. Now, if you bid as an owner occupant in that first 15 days, then you have to live in it for a year. You have to certify that you're going to do that.
So excellent clarification there. So folks, from when it first lists through day 15, people that are allowed to bid on that property are people that are intentionally going to own or occupy said property. And they will own or occupy it for at least a year before they sell it. If the property is still available and they have not accepted an offer 15 days or greater, now we open up to investors, people that are going to buy it, turn right back around and sell it however many, you know, maybe after they do repairs or fix it up or whatever. Yeah,
they call that the extended period on HUD Home Store. So the exclusive period, then the extended period, and during that time, somebody can jump in and do that. So yeah, that's we've certainly had some people who have flipped numerous homes that I've dealt with. So most of them actually sell in that first 15 days anyway. So
right now, I would imagine, because there's not a lot of first-time home buyers that are getting the opportunity on an open market property, because there isn't this rule. That being said, then, you know, as far as, you know, your agent helping you submit these offers, which you do need to have an agent submit offers through the HUD Home Store. They're not letting you know, Joe Buyer off the street come and do that. You do need to use an agent. Can all agents from that standpoint bid on HUD properties? Or is there certain restrictions as far as, I mean, I guess, you know, might be a better question, but, you know, what does an NAID stand for? Because I know that's a requirement of the agent. You know,
that's what, so the broker has to have a nade number, which is name and address verification number, basically. So the broker, so the individual agent doesn't have to have a nade. In fact, I don't have a nade. I use the Remax Preferred.
We use one at our company.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep. So we have one that we use, the brokers. And so what I always tell agents is just make sure that you talk to your broker, talk to your accounting person, and make sure they've kept it up to date, because we have it happen quite often where somebody calls and says, hey, I want to bid on this property, but we don't have a nade. And I called HUD and it takes a little while to turn it around and we want to get it, so I always tell them then, hey, we want your buyer to have an opportunity. So let's figure something out.
Sure.
You can work with, I'll help you out with it and we'll get it.
Fee or something else or whatever,
yep.
Right? Yep.
Or maybe they know somebody else that has a nade. That happens too, where they just, oh, hey, my friend has one and I'll go work it out with them. And okay, sounds great. As long as, you just don't want to be turning people away. You want them to be able to have, access.
That leads into a pretty good question. Yeah. I know the answer to, and I'm proud to know the answer to this one, but will you help other agents throughout the offer process?
Yep, absolutely. We're there from the first thing I do when I see that notification of bid acceptance is I look on there and I see who the agent is and I call them and just say, hey, congrats, I see your bid was accepted. Let's talk about the next steps. Let's get your checklist going. Let's get everything rolling. And then, just to make sure that they don't, because it's a new process for some people. If you've done it before, it's pretty easy. But if you haven't, it's kind of got to follow the prompts and so forth. But yeah, we're there till, from bid to closing. So, and I'm always available by cell phone.
Well, I know,
Yep.
In the past, you and other agents that represent the HUD listings and stuff have always been really helpful. I will say this though, because I'm guilty of it. I know that maybe the first time that I submitted an offer on a HUD home,
yep.
Jeff, I didn't read nearly as much of what I could have already just done on my own before you needed to step in and help, before you needed to whatever.
Yeah.
I really do have to take this opportunity. If you're watching this, right down below here, the HUDhomestore.com has this entire process very mapped out. Everything every question and comment that we are going to go through here today, the answers are there. The process is there. All the help is there. Sometimes you do need a little bit of interpretation, and that's obviously where Jeff is saying, hey, I'll step in and I'll certainly help you with some interpretation. But just understand it is all right there on that website if you need help. Let's see, what other questions do I have for you? Dude, I guess this is kind of one that I think some people are wondering, because it's obviously a house that somebody potentially lived in. But do we need to worry about evicting the previous occupants? Is there any advice you want to give or any statements you want to give on people actually heading out to one of these properties?
Yeah. So when they go out to view the property, we list it for sale. It is ready to go. So it's cleaned out. There shouldn't be any issues. There shouldn't be, old paint cans sitting around, boxes, any garbage. It should be all cleaned out, broom swept, ready to go. No occupants. I've never sold one. I've never even been assigned one where there was somebody in the property, which is actually pretty rare. Because a lot of the other groups that I work with, the first thing they have me do is determine occupancy. So I have to go out and kind of, snoop around a little bit and see if it looks like anybody's there. And not with HUD. They have already rekeyed it. I am, somebody else has been there multiple times before I was there and has prepped it and put a sign-in sheet in there and rekeyed it and, all that good stuff. So it's really ready for me when I get there. I just have to place a lockbox on it. Match the key up from the list of keys that they give us, and then start taking photos and documenting everything, double checking, making sure everything's clean, nothing's broken, everything's locked up, and it's ready to list. Yeah, so that's pretty nice. There's nothing, as far as the buyer goes, it's pretty nice because there's nothing they need to worry about as far as the rare occasion, of course, would be, I suppose, if somebody, like any place, somebody was to break into one and start looking. I've never had that happen. So not with.
I do remember back when copper spiked, and it was really there was a high value on copper, like that.
Well, I shouldn't say
back in the day.
We've had. I've never had someone break in and actually like live there, you know, a squatter or something like that. But we actually have had years ago, I had one in buyer that was purchasing in Milwaukee, which is usually out of my range, but this one I did help out a HUD property, and yeah, sure enough, somebody broke in
And moved.
they did not occupy the property. They just broke in and stole some copper, like you said.
Yeah, the plumbing.
And yeah, it was a little interesting scenario there for a bit, trying to kind of figure out. HUD was actually really good with it, though. They did give a bit of
Session or whatever.
yeah, concession or a reduction in price to cover some, because it happened after the bid was accepted. So it was during, you know, between bid acceptance and closing. So that's a little bit different story.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess, you know, from that standpoint too, I just have a couple other questions. We've kind of over time here a little bit anyway, but real quick, because this is more for the education of the agents that would maybe be helping, you know, a potential buyer. Of course, if you're a buyer out there watching this, get a hold of either Jeff or the agent you work with, and we'll certainly help them get through the process.
Yep.
Do the agents still get paid a commission? Does HUD pay a commission still? Okay.
Yeah, they pay a 3% commission, and when you place your bid, it's right in there. It's almost like a net sheet.
Okay.
And the bid, it autofills 3%.
Okay.
So now the only exception to that would be if it's below a certain threshold, then they'll go to and I haven't even seen this for a long time because I haven't had one in this price range, but they'll go to just like a standard dollar amount. I want to say I want to say it's like $12.50 or something like that. But you have to get pretty low in price. And I mean, where are we seeing listings right now that are 35,000? You know, where you're going to get to that.
A lot more with like lots, maybe, but man.
Yeah, and I don't.
Not around here anyway.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever listed a lot for sale for HUD. It's almost always single family or condo.
Wouldn't make much sense that somebody would have gotten an FHA on just vacant land, I suppose.
Anyways. Yeah. So I haven't seen it. But,
okay. Well, last question then for you. What does NAID stand for? That NAD thing that they need.
Yeah, nade. That people always kind of go, what? What'd you say? Nade number, a nade number. Name and address verification number, basically.
Okay.
So it's just a
it's something
to how you identify yourself.
The brokerage is locked in. They have a license, because I'm assuming there's a license verification. Your office you're not out there practicing willy-nilly and without knowledge of your state and stuff like that, right? So.
Yeah. So when you place your bid, you have to put in your nade number. So I put in Remax, the broker nade number, and then they ask you for your individual realtor license number too. I always tell agents, make sure you have those two handy. And also I tell them, don't wait till the last minute to place your bid, because what if you run into a little hiccup or something where you can't log in, or place it maybe a day before the end of the period.
I think that's really solid advice, because you haven't done this before. Certainly don't also do it in front of your client. You're going to need time to navigate this system, get signed up, figure it out. It's not going to be as easy as jumping online and filling out a couple of things, bloop, and done. I mean, it's not also not going to be extremely difficult, but if you do run into a scenario of some sort, you definitely don't want to be doing it sitting in front of your client, and you definitely don't want to be doing it up against a midnight deadline or something like that.
Yeah, that's great advice. Yeah, I a lot of times when I place my bids, I'm doing it over the phone, and I know what I'm doing, obviously, but I'll just call them and say, hey, what do you want to put in? And we just, because you're not filling out any paperwork.
Yeah,
so I just
that's a good little thing to know too, is once you're awarded the bid, and this I know bothers a lot of agents, because they want to see a rejection, they want to see whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of times, and guys, if you're out there and you're listening to this and you're a real estate agent that's going to help somebody on one of these, guys, just understand it is a different process. It does not violate state law, but it's a little backwards in how bids are done. Once a bid is accepted, then all the paperwork happens. So.
Yep. Yeah. Which it's kind of nice. It does save, because sometimes I've had people where they contact me and say, oh yeah, hey, we filled all our paperwork, got our offer to purchase. Do you have a condition report? And I go, no. You can, or they'll insist on filling out the offer to purchase. And I said, well, if you want to just do it for the heck of it, because you got nothing to do with it once you have it filled out.
Right.
But if you want something for reference or whatever, but you're better off just jumping on there and getting, you have to provide the buyer has to provide social security number and address. and a few other basic things. It's really easy though.
Yeah,
The
I
bid
mean,
itself is
and don't
simple.
get me wrong, Jeff and I aren't trying to give you anybody here brokerage advice on how they should be operating their business, but just FYI, I mean, if you are looking for some paperwork to do, you should still do your basic disclosures, right? So your
Oh yeah.
client,
Yep.
do your broker disclosure to clients, your broker disclosure to customers, whatever it is in your state. There is some paperwork, obviously you do, but
Yeah.
just understand that if you are going through the full process of your, like an offer, like you have with every other deal you've ever done, you are wasting a little bit of your time, money, and energy if that bid doesn't get accepted.
Yep.
Is basically what
Yeah,
we're
it's a good clarification. Yeah, you still want to do your buyer agency and whatever other disclosures that are required, but yeah, you won't be using the actual WB offer to purchase form.
rock
So
and roll.
that's the one. That's the one you don't need. So and then of
Cool.
course, obviously, well, HUD will provide what they call a PCR, which is property condition report, but that's not a real estate condition report. It's not the the state form. It's a form that's really basic. Just will tell you about if it held pressure, the plumbing, any other things that they notice about the property, but very basic. So, but
Excellent.
helpful.
Rock
So,
and roll. Well, we're
cool.
going to wrap up here and sign off. That being said, anybody who's watching this, don't feel bad about asking questions later. We're live right now, but you don't have to. You can just comment from wherever you're seeing this, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn, YouTube,
Yep.
Twitch, wherever the heck you end up watching this video. Feel free to just type a question. We'll certainly get notified and get back to you. Otherwise, contact information for Jeff is in the comments and in the description of the post here. Other than that, thanks everybody for stopping by. If you did, this has been another live Q&A with Jeff Olson on HUD Homes, and we are both in RE/MAX Preferred here in South Central Wisconsin, Greater Madison and Southern Wisconsin area. Have a great day. Be safe out there and stay healthy. Take care.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
You bet. Take care, Jeff.
Yep. You too.
Thanks for being here.